Hey guys, Problematic Boy here, and my shoulder is, I slept on it wrong, and it's just like, kind of sore. I'm going to be doing some housekeeping at the start of the video. Oh my god, I just did it again. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm going to run through like one map. It's not, once again, I don't think I'm going to be doing, there might be a bonus build demonstration at the end of a completely different build, but this is the current build. Okay, so the one I'm playing right now is the one that's caught my interest and that I might make a video on. I've been trying to find something to play until ailments get fixed. And right now it seems like it's going to be this yoga. I don't know. It's fire burst. I'm putting on some strength. I'm scaling area a lot. I don't know, it seems like it might end up okay. Only level 68 right now, so I mean, who knows, right? And, you know, my items, almost none of them are crafted. Yeah, none of them are crafted. It's just I have some legendaries on. Man, it's just... Calibration's 2 crappy rings, a gambler's in a well. I need to switch these out, of course, and my amulet is just a chain of resistance, which is not ideal, but is okay. And as far as housekeeping goes, I want everyone to know... Okay, this is important. When I say things, whether you've been watching, if this is your first time watching a video of mine, or if you've been watching for a little bit, the one thing that you should know is that I am not serious. I'm not a serious person. So if I say something ridiculous, I am saying it probably on purpose because I think it's funny. So, examples. If I make the video title something like, this is the best build ever, I don't literally mean that it's the best build ever. I'm making a clickbait title that I think is funny. This is called irony, and sometimes I use something called sarcasm. And it's basically what I think is funny. I just lie a bunch. That's basically what irony is. Irony is when you lie and you say something intentionally as a lie that sounds funny, because it's a lie. And I mean, I guess it's funny when people take it seriously, but you say ridiculous things. Like, I made that video where I declared war on a website. Obviously I was joking, but there's clues, right? I was laughing during that entire video. I said rogue builders. Like, you could put 2 and 2 together and try to figure out that I'm joking. Some people incapable of doing that, but I'm just making this start of this video to try to, you know, stamp out these people that take me seriously. You need to not take me seriously. The only thing I've been extremely serious about is this ailment stuff that I wanted to get fixed. Obviously, I'm not lying about any of that. Because I'm very passionate about being able to play Bleed. I guess we'll do another map here. Well, I actually talk about the real purpose of this video. Jesus, it's already been 3 minutes. Is that I kind of want to do an intro, not an intro to crafting, but talk about my crafting philosophy. Because a lot of people don't know where to get started with crafting. They might have target items from a build guide or from another creator of what to go for, but they don't understand, you know, one thing I like to stress about my videos is that they're not guides, they're demonstrations, and what I really want to encourage people to do is think critically and holistically about the builds. So if you want to make, if you see something I'm doing and I go over it and you want to make an adjustment, feel free to make an adjustment, feel free to do whatever you want. But also try to, like, really understand the workings of the build. I know some people aren't into that. If you're not into that, that's totally fine. But I want people to understand, you know, why am I going for this mod? Or why am I playing this way? So on and so forth. I like to take a holistic approach. A more like understanding approach to it. Where, you know, this isn't just like... I don't want to put together work that people can just copy. You can, of course, if you want. And hopefully it... The reason I put in demonstrations is so you can see how the build actually performs going through, I mean, usually, let's be honest, the T7. But that sort of goes into my crafting philosophy as well. And I'll talk about my 3 most important parts of my crafting philosophy. It's not really, just like my build videos, it's not going to be a crafting guide, but we can talk about what I think about when I go into crafting. So, and it might be useful to understand my thought process if you're someone new to crafting, is basically my point. So, for starters, let me finish this, and then we'll get out of the map, and then I will talk about it. Before I, get out of the map and start talking about crafting, I like this yoga build. I think it's going places. I think it's maybe going places. I mean, we're only in like a T2 or a T3 or whatever this is. But I can do T3s right now. It's just, 68, just leveling up. Grab that stuff, get out of here, and let's talk about crafting. Now, the first principle, it's not a philosophical principle, it's just the way Torchlight is. If you want the best gear, good gear, that is not legendary. So if you have a lot of builds, depending on what you're doing, if you know what you are doing, will have a required legendary, or required unique, or a unique that is at the very least very good, that you're gonna, maybe you have a non-legendary piece of gear, but you're going for a legendary piece of gear in that slot because that legendary gear is so important. So what you need to know is what slots are locked in for legendary. Like for instance, my helmet, my chest, maybe one of my weapon slots, as far as I know. The only thing that's really locked in as a legendary is maybe one of my weapons and my belt. But I have legendaries in these other slots just because they're good, right? They're good right now. I have a Skydiver Strength Armor. I have a Kate's Vision. This is a very good helmet that is new. It's probably going to stay with this build for a while. But what I'm saying is, a lot of it goes into planning, right? So you need to know which items are going to be crafted and which items are not going to be crafted. That's basically what I'm saying at the start. And the best items do not come off of the ground. They're not ID'd. The best items, if you want to go for even T2 affixes, T3 affixes, just decent rules that you want to get, the most efficient way to do it is to craft. And if we're talking about Team 1 items and 6 mod items and 6 affix items and stuff like that, especially Omnis and Restless, you have to craft them. So the best gear in the game does not come off the ground. The best gear in the game comes from crafting. So that's just a fundamental. I'm sure a lot of people know that, but some people might not. So that is the first thing I wanted to talk about. And this is not, haven't gotten into my principles yet or my philosophy yet. So the second important thing that you should know in crafting is that you should almost always start with an item level 85 clean base. Now sometimes, if you're a little more experienced, you'll know maybe you have an item level 85 base that has one mod on it that you can just go, oh, I'll just replace it, or I'll get rid of it, or whatever. And sometimes it might be cheaper in certain situations. I've had it where I've gotten like something for 20 FE and it has one mod on it and it's item level 85, and I'm like, oh, I can just get rid of that mod and I not pay 1 FE for the 20 flame sand instead of 1 FE. I'm gonna pick the 20 flame sand, but almost always you want to start with a clean, that means gray, base. This is something that some people miss. And if you want to find an item level 85 base, the way I do it is I just click item level here and put minimum 85. My cat's crying, by the way. And then put in base gear, whatever you want to start with. Generally these 61 and higher ones are good, except the 2 at the top can be a little bit expensive depending on what they are. So keep that in mind. So you can go through anything here that you want: chest, gloves, boots, weapon, and then you can pick the base, right? Let's just, for example, just choose a strength helmet, dragon's guardian's face guard, and you can see this one's for 2, this one's for 1, and you can find great items that have, as long as they're 85, it's fine, right? 87, it doesn't matter above 85. So you want to get an 85 clean base. Now let's go into my philosophies and the most important things I think there are about crafting. The first is you got to plan your craft. What do I mean by planning your craft? I mean, what mods do you want? What is good for your build? Do you need res? Then you're probably going to have res as one of your mods. What type of damage are you doing? Maybe you're doing sticking just with physical damage. Maybe you're elemental. Maybe you're erosion. Maybe you're minion. those mods might be useful. For instance, if we're talking about planning a craft and we're talking about a helmet, generally I don't tend to put damage mods on my helmet. Let's take a look here at a helmet. Helmet affixes, and one of the best ways to plan your craft, by the way, if we're talking about practice, is if you go into the crafting window, here's the crafting window, and you click on affix list, you can filter up here any item. So we can go to helmets, strength helmet, and then you can start planning your craft. Now crafted gear, you can have 3 prefixes or 3 suffixes. If you're starting out with crafting, ideally you're going to be shooting to plan out 5 affix gear, right? Because that gear is my cats are being crazy. Is limited by just flame, sand, and embers. Flame, sand, flame dust, and embers, and you don't have to worry about spending FE unless you need to buy embers, of course, which you might need to, or depending on how good you want the item to be, you probably will. But so you want to take a look, so helmet, what's good on a helmet? Well, maybe you probably want life. Most of the helmets I build are pretty defensive. Maybe you do want damage on your helmet, but that's up to you. Life per second, flat regen. Flat regen can be good on a few pieces of gear. And then you just look through here, look through the embers, Maybe you don't want armor. And just plan out, knowing that you only have 3 prefixes and then 3 suffixes, Always try to get as much res as you can. With the more unique items that you have in the build, the less resistance you're going to have, obviously. Most of the time. That's just a rule of thumb. And then you can... an important thing about planning the craft is, when I say planning, I'm mostly talking about just knowing what mods that you're aiming for. And this could mean researching your build. You might need to ask people. You might need to look up a guide. You might need to look at other things. Like, you'll have to learn more about the game if you think about it this way. The second part is sort of related to planning, and that's ordering your crafts. So you know what affixes you want. Then you have to select an order to craft them in. This is very important because sometimes you might have filler crafts. Now, what is a filler craft? A filler craft is just something that you put on that you intend to be taken away by a subsequent craft. So the next craft, you're either going to want to replace that mod with something, or otherwise get rid of it. Hey, cat, go away. Quit it. Of course, when I'm recording, it's just like they have to go fucking nuts. Anyways, where was I? I do this a lot on weapons. So, for instance, on like and the reason you would do this is because the advanced embers required at least 4 mods, and if you're going for 5 affix items as a beginner, yeah, you probably want at least one of these, either a technique or a ruling ember, on what you're planning, right? You're probably planning for at least 1 or 2 of these mods, and in order to get 1 or 2, you need to have at least 4 affixes on an item, but sometimes there's not 4 affixes from the regular embers that you want, right? In that case, you want to filler craft something on that's going to get removed by one of these, right? So you might spam rolling embers on let's just go to a hammer or something. Say you, on your hammer, you want, for instance, for this build, I think hammer is actually okay on this build, so you probably go what? Maybe you want, maybe none of that. Maybe you want elemental damage, for sure, and you're planning it out, right? So in case of my craft, I'm gonna plan for 6, right? Because I'm not gonna craft until I get 6 of what I want. So I want, I want elemental damage, I want the ruling mod for fire skill, and I want the ominous mod for god damn it. I want the ominous mod for +3 main skill, and then I want for my suffixes, my 3 suffixes, I want maybe double damage on the restless, crit damage, and strength. Let's say that those are the 3 things that I want, or that I'm planning for. Well, you run into an issue because two of my prefixes, one requires 4 mods on the item, and the other one requires 6. So what you have to do is you have to think of fillers, right? So I want elemental damage for sure. And then maybe I'll put on area damage. Area damage is decent, but I can plan on having it taken away, right? Or I could put on... It doesn't matter what I put on. I could put on armor as well. If I was planning out the craft or ordering the craft, maybe I would do my suffixes first. So I would go here and I would look, oh, I want crit damage for sure, so I'll get crit damage. And then maybe I put on strength, and then maybe I put on elemental damage third, all right? And from 1 to 3, the order doesn't particularly matter, right? Because I'm just getting up to 3 mods. Now I want a filler craft for my 4th mod. So I'd put on area damage or armor. It's probably cheaper to put on armor. So I put on armor. Then I want a ruling, right? I want a ruling fire skill level. So what I would do is the order has to be, this is the 4th ember that I'm using because I have 4 mods on it, is that I'm going to use ruling embers until fire goes over my filler mod, replacing it, and then I'm going to use it again. I'm going to keep spamming those ruling embers until I get what I want, which is +2, obviously. And then you can think about, okay, well, what's my 5th order? Maybe my 5th order is... I think in this case you would do a second filler, right? You would just do a filler on... you need 2 more fillers, and then you need to hope that you hit the ominous and the restless. So, and then that's the craft, right? It's just spamming the ominous and restless until you get what you want. So kind of a difficult craft, but that's an example of how you would order your craft. Now, what I've been hinting at through here is the third key tenet of the philosophy, my philosophy of crafting, which is know how to limit your crafts. This is kind of part of planning your craft, but it's a bit more... I think it's more, it deserves its own space, and that is, okay, am I a new player just trying to get to T7? T7, and being able to kill T7 Bride, and especially being able to kill just the T7 Watchers, is huge. And I think that most builds can do that just going for 5 affix crafted gear. So, understand what is good for your gear. Understand that if you're going for gear that isn't going to be ominous, maybe T2 is fine, maybe T3 is fine. You can get good high rolls, get your res cap with just T3 or T4s. That's totally fine. Just craft that gear, get experience with crafting, and with 5 affix gear that is only limited by embers, flame dust, and flame sand. No flame elementium needed, other than maybe buying the base and buying embers or sand if you need it. It's going to get you pretty far, I think. At least into time. I'd say that if you're doing that on all slots of your gear, you're at least getting to time mark 6, but probably being able to farm 7. That's limiting your craft, right? And limiting your craft, you have to know, well, what am I settling for, right? Is this going to be an ominous item that needs 6? And then it's like, well, okay, do I settle for T2 with this mod? How important is the T1? These are questions that you need to ask and need to answer for yourself. And they're questions I'm always asking myself when I'm crafting. And if you are going for an ominous item, then it's pretty much expected that, yes, you shouldn't settle for anything less than T1. That's generally how it works. But I see my friend was looking at a guide. I'm not going to say what website the guide was from. But basically, all the gear, even the budget gear, is all T1 and all this, and he doesn't know where to start, right? So he was saying, he's in time mark 5. Let's say he was in time mark 5 or 4, and he's gonna say, he said to me, "Oh, I'm just gonna craft it all at once." But I think it's much better to understand, learn a bit about the build, know what mod you can cut from those 6 mod perfect items that are being shown to you. Know what mod is not the most important mod. Cut it out. Drop the tiers down a little bit from T1. Prioritize the strongest craft on the item. Maybe instead of that T1 stacking stat, you go for a T2 or a T3, knowing that you can farm T7 with it, and you'll be able to recraft it later with a new base, because you'll be making so much flame elementium at that point. So just have a good mindset, have a holistic mindset. Those are my 3 principles of crafting. Hopefully that's helpful. Just talking through it and having a nice little chat. And that's how I craft, right? I plan it, I limit my craft, and then I order my craft, right? You can do all 3 at once. You should be doing all 3 at once. And it just makes the experience so much smoother, and you'll learn more about your character, learn more about your build, learn more about the game, become much more knowledgeable. And this has been a 20-minute video as usual. I will do the bonus build. Hold on. Which is I didn't really end up liking playing the build very much, but it is like a T7 I don't want to say zoomer, but it's like a one-button play style that's fairly fun. I can do T7s on it. I can kill Bright on it. If I really want to, I can kill a Watcher, but it's not the best at killing Watchers right now. The gear's not perfect. But we can look at the Serenithea. This is not an original build. I sort of got inspired by one of my viewers watching them on their stream. And just to do the demonstration, I'm using Whirlwind right now, but you can use Charge as well. It's a cast on crit Rain of Ice build. Obviously, these builds, this is a boxless version, so if you have a box, that's great. It definitely amps the build up a lot. I'll quickly go over my talents, just so people see what I'm doing. I'll try to make this quick. We have Knowledge. I'm going Goddess of Knowledge, Chili, Burning Touch, Spirit Caller. I'm running Adaptation, but you can run Translucent. I'm running Vibe because I think it's more damage. Shadow Dancer for Ambition, so we have Fervor. And Hair Trigger, so we're getting that double damage. And I'll do a Slow Pan. Getting Cold Conversion here. A Focus Snack, and going for the +1 spell. Mostly the bottom side of the tree here on Spirit Caller. And Cold Skill Level. And Shadow Dancer also mostly the bottom, but you want to get the crit damage up here. This note is good for the minus. And then all this triggered stuff down here, especially this one, is going to make the build actually playable. So let's take a look here. I'm just going to run through a random T7. What we got here? Why not Beast Plains, the map I always run? Oh, I don't have any Netherrealm Essence. Unfortunately, I can't roll the map to like a 60% quant or something. I'm also not running this with an amulet, I don't think. I think I'm amuletless. Yeah, I'm amuletless. So running it without an amulet. It's very similar to my Rahan build, except it's completely spell cold damage. It's not worrying about the trigger burst at all. You can do it with Charge too. I'll show that off. It's just an easy swap if you want to do Savage Charge. You're actually a little bit faster with Charge. Sometimes I think you're a little too fast with it though. Because you run past the mobs sometimes. Pretty much a one-button build. You can hit Soul-Eating Circle if you want. And the boss, much better than the other build. It goes down fairly quick. And by other build, I mean my Ron build. Where the boss is a little slow. Yeah, just a little cute build. T7 build. Another cute T7 build. But, I'm not sure how it scales. Maybe someone wants to take it a little further. I'll look at my gear real quick. Skills are just what you might expect here. This is the main link. Precise, cast on crit, Renovise, freeze, cold pen, spell concentration, crit damage increase. I have a blizzard on castle channeling. I'm using normal castle channeling to get more damage out of my charge. I don't know how good that is. Crystalline biting cold. And the gear real quick. It's very important. The way I'm building it anyway is to get Mind Blade on a Infinity. So spells gain the damage of the main-handed weapon, and you're converting everything to cold. Cheaply, I'm doing it right now with an Arctic Rain. Chest. Random helmet. Random 3-mod gloves. The Grace Boots are pretty good. They give me focus generation. And then here's the this is a filler mod down here, and this Gear Fizz is a filler mod, even though it's T1. And I settled for the attack crit. I don't know if I'll finish this staff, but you want to go for Gear Fizz, T1 LE. You're going to Ominous this. I also didn't care about getting T1 on this, but it's good to get the ruling one, the ruling flat physical. It's a much higher value. T1 crit damage. I mean, T1 attack crit is great, but I don't think it's that important. I mean, it's good. And then this is going to be a filler for, I think, double damage or something. And this is going to be the Ominous physical, because we're adding all that physical to the spells. And then it's getting converted to cold. So that's basically how the character works. Normally I would have a Vortex Heart on here, but currently that's in my Yoga's inventory. So there's a little bonus build for you. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. This has been a long video, so great on you for sticking with it. I will have probably a video on the Yoga coming up, and then once Bleed and Ignite gets fixed, I'll have a lot of content. I'll probably make a video that's just previewing all the builds that I want to do once they gets fixed. So that'll probably be like a 5-10 minute video of me just previewing things. Anyways, yeah, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/problematicboy. Bye.